Okay, I'm live. I'm not sure which one of these devices is actually working here, but hey. Oh my gosh. My hands hurt. I have spent the majority of my afternoon writing, and I am up on the story 4,500 words at this point, and uh, oh, ow. It's a good hurt. Story is flowing. I actually debated about canceling the live stream again, but I wasn't going to. Hi, Becky. If you can't hear me, please say so in the chat. I am gonna have two windows open, Curly, so we're gonna make this stop. There we go. Yeah, anyway, it's been a good writing day. I am feeling really happy about this story, which is this is not a story for an anthology. This is quite literally a story that is for my own. Oh, good, Ben. And Ben, thank you so much for the information on the gun. I really debated about going with the revolver and had originally written the scene with a revolver. I should back up for the people that weren't part of that conversation. Hello, Don. So I'm writing a story, and I've written 4,500 words today so far. I plan to go back and actually write some more after the live stream when hopefully I have stretched out my hands, which is what I'm doing. You can't see it. This is me stretching my hands out. Hi, Mom. Hi, Jennifer. I am the story is flowing, and it's funny because this is the first story in a long time that I've done just for me. This story is just me amusing myself and playing and having fun. I wrote the beginning of this story, and you can actually find it on my blog. It's called The Honeymooners. So I wrote the beginning of the story like a year ago, I think. And I'm going to be releasing a collection of some of my fantasy short stories. And as it stands, I have about 40,000 words worth of material, but I wanted to write another story that that isn't already been published, because most of the stories that are going into the fantasy anthology, or not anthology because it's with me, so it's a collection. Sanford's cooking. So if you hear funny noises, that's what. But the collection of shorts is going to include stories that have previously appeared in anthologies. And I'm going to, I think there's 3 or 4 of those that I'm going to take and bring into this book, along with a story that was rejected from an anthology that nobody has seen, a story I wrote quite a while back that hasn't been published anywhere, a story that's been published on my blog, and this one I decided I wanted to write and have like fresh new material for the collection. And all I have to do is I've got to finish this story, which I'm about halfway through with at this point after today's massive episode of All the Words. Oh, Farm Girl, that does suck. And I'm really glad you're safe and that you have managed to eat. This is all good. You mind closing the door, love, when you go back out? Thank you, by the way. Sanford is currently making dinner, so I am very excited because this is the most word count I have managed to write in a long time. And I was beginning to wonder if I'd ever be able to write like this again. So it turns out that really what it takes is giving myself a mental deadline and working on something that I want to write. So even if it is a romance, and my crusty old curmudgeon does not approve.
I did not say I did not approve. I kind of like the story.
Good.
Of
Oh.
course, it helps that, there's a dashing hero.
Um, so one of the things that I did today, and Ben Hunsinger actually kind of helped with this, is I had gotten to a point in the story where I realized that she needed to have a gun. So from the title, The Honeymooners, you might guess that the two main characters have literally just been married. And I'm not going to spoil it, and actually talking too much about the purpose of the gun would be why she's being given a gun. That would be a spoiler, but she is being given a gun as a gift from her brand new husband. Um, and so the thing about pantsing is I never know what I am going to wind up with a story, because I'm writing by the seat of my pants, and I start with something and then I get into the story and I don't necessarily know where I'm going, and all of a sudden, um I mean, the whole Raymond Chandler, the man walks through the door with a gun. In this case, it wasn't to actually fire the gun, but the gun is still an important plot point. But I had to then figure out the details about the gun as I was going, and I wanted it to be accurate and good, because I have readers that will object if I get it wrong, and I didn't want to just gloss over it. I wanted to actually have something of a detailed description. So I asked in the North Texas Troublemakers Facebook group, and kind of gave a vague, this is what I need, and have in mind, and got a bunch of really good suggestions. And Ben Hunsinger's suggestion, because I said it needed to have silver bullets or be able to fire silver bullets, and his initial suggestion was that if you had to hand cast them, that it should probably be a revolver. And I also really liked his idea of having runes engraved on it that would magically enhance the effect of the silver bullets. And with an ornately engraved gun, having runes it worked into the engraving makes them even less obvious. And I just that is perfect. It works. Um, so I had initially written the scene and moved on, because I've been writing so gosh darn fast tonight. And then Tully Roberts, who is our resident, um,
Uh,
among other things, but anyhow, dear man, but he came in and he suggested a Beretta Mauser, and he posted a picture of it, and I took one look at it and called Sanford in, because it's my gun. It's the little handgun that I own and I'm not allowed to shoot, because I've been warned that it's a very cheap gun and it could spontaneously disassemble. So never ever fire that cedar, all my gun expert friends say with looks of horror on their face, which is why I'm currently gun shopping. But I looked to one look at this little Beretta Model 70 that Tully posted pictures of, and I'm like, honey, I know what I want to buy now, because that's my gun. So,
by the way, do we have many people that follow the live stream in your little fan group here?
which fan group? The live
This
stream, or
Do we have many people who follow the blanket fort on this
I
live
think
stream?
there's a lot of overlap, yes, with watchers of the Blanket Fort and
Well,
watchers of
in that
my
case, I've
stream.
got something to tell them.
Oh. Okay, I do not have the same um, response to monkeys as Ian does. But after the last week and a half of monkeys, oh my.
You might explain to the
You just
non-blanket
you
porters.
just busted a bunch of people up. Kermit is here, and Dawn, I don't know how often she manages with work, and Ben watches. So, yes, there's a lot of overlap. Oh, will the monkey be sliced? No. No, this monkey will not be sliced. Yes, attack the killer blue monkeys. They're everywhere. Oh.
I have made my wife crack up. I have done my duty for the day.
Oh. Yes, yes. Those who don't know will just have to watch the blanket fort. And Juniper is going to have no idea. Juniper should not watch the blanket fort because the guys try, but their language gets real salty sometimes. I don't think Ian's in here, Kermit. Sometimes he catches it, but I'm not sure if he works on Friday nights. No, he doesn't, actually. I do know that because I've had him and Rita over for dinner, which has been the cause of canceling a live stream at least once. Oh my goodness. So Jennifer should definitely not watch the blanket fort, which actually I guess it kind of leads to me wanting to talk about the future of my live stream because uh I was thinking because Friday evenings are just really bad for me to do the live stream. I've got so much stuff going on because it's the beginning of my weekend. So Friday evenings are really difficult for me. And they're also one of the evenings where if I'm going to have certain people over to dinner during what I call the midweek meals, it would be a Friday is better for that. So I've been debating about folding because I'm now a regular on the Thursday blanket fort stream, and I was thinking that what I would do is stop this and just have people catch me at the blanket fort, which makes perfect sense to me. And then I was thinking, well, if I do that, I will also do the occasional cooking videos on here. Although I'm probably not going to do any more live cooking streams because yeah, that's just it's a lot. So I was thinking about doing a merger with the blanket fort. That and um, Ian and Courtney and I are working on an idea for, again, a recorded thing where we would be doing basically like how-to videos for indie authors on publishing, cover design, a lot of different topics on that. And between Ian and Courtney and I, doing Indie Author 101. So, um, so I was thinking that if we're going to be doing all of these things, that me doing the live streams on Friday is probably probably more than I can have the time for. um, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to handle this because I want to occasionally have something that Jennifer can listen to too. But hey, Differs, you missed the monkey, Differs. The dead monkey was revived for one last scream. um, so how did the cookies come out, Differs? I'm curious how the rum and cocoa and sprinkles all worked. Uh, I see that you were still working on making the cookies, so this sounds like maybe it was requiring more um, finessing the recipe. Uh, yeah, so I don't know on the live stream. I just Friday nights, if I keep doing this, maybe I go back to every other Friday. For instance, next Friday I will be going down to the Dallas Fort Worth area and meeting up with at least one friend, probably a couple of friends down in that area and doing a little shopping. returning books to a sad panda. So that sounds really good. Okay, excellent. Glad to hear that. Since you were improvising, I didn't know what the cookies were going to wind up being like. Um, yeah, so just Friday evenings are bad. And I mean, I suppose if I did this on another night, like I think I've floated Monday night before and it was not a good night for most people. I know better than to do Wednesday nights. Um, but the weekends just are really difficult for me because I'm juggling two jobs. And with doing the writing and the graphic design, um, it's trying to fit everything in. I'm not likely to burn out, but I might have to. All right, let's try this Wednesday, or not Wednesday, not Wednesdays. Wednesdays are bad. Let's try this Monday evening and see how that works. And we'll try that for a couple of weeks and see how Monday evenings work. Um, yeah, Wednesdays are bad for a couple of reasons. The other thing too is that because of Johann's schedule, my schedule is about to shift again because Johann is doing really well with college classes. His welding classes are going better than he was worried about. And he is currently about halfway through his practical final exam in welds. Starting next week, we'll do this again. We'll meet again on Wednesday. Hopefully, I'll have more writing news and my hands will uncramp so I can write more. Um, so Johann is oh, good. I'm really glad that you have new friends, Becky, because I know moving like this, I mean, we moved to be closer to friends, but you guys moved away from everybody. Sorry, Dawn. Um, yeah, work on Mondays. I can completely understand how you couldn't listen to this on Mondays, not with your job. Um, so, Kermit, that is too bad. Um, yeah, yeah, no. There are always replays, but replays without the live chat, I'm sure, is missing. No, no, there really isn't going to be any universally free. And as selfish as it is, I kind of have to be like, okay, what works for me? And right now, Fridays, given that I've had to cancel the last couple just because stuff, um, Fridays are not a great one for me. 3 days, Ben. That kind of Monday. Monday, looking at the calendar over here. Uh, Monday the 5th of December. So there we go. You do too have a life, Differs. It's just that yours is conducive to actually listening to things while you work. Um, oh, okay. So yeah, we'll do this. I will do another live stream. Um, we'll do another live stream on December the 5th at this time at 6 o'clock. I think that works for me. We'll see. I mean, I could move it a little earlier, but I think six. I think evening is probably better for most of you all. Um, yeah. And by then, I should have figured out when I'm going to be able to publish this fantasy collection. So I should be able to make an announcement regarding that. And yeah, but today I'm just kind of riding on that nice dopamine high of I wrote 4,500 words today so far, which is a lot for me these days. And I've come to the conclusion I was trying to push myself to write every day. and tell Aaron to put down the scissors dippers. And hopefully he's not running with your good fabric scissors. Writing every day isn't working well for me because I'm working 9 hours on the day job most days. And then Fridays are the day when I run all the errands because that's why I work 4 9s and a 4. Um, so the writing every day isn't working. However, if I can find a day like today where I have several hours in a row that I can get my brain lined up and start cruising through the story, then I did this about a week ago, actually, with the Interstellar Space Cowboys or Interstellar, yeah, the Space Cowboy story, Interstellar Cattle Drive. Unless Courtney and Ian ask me to change the title, which they might, I don't know. Um, so that was due on the 1st, and then of course I wrote it and turned it in the day before Ian made the announcement that they had enough stories to entertain a second volume of Space Cowboys. What I can do, and I have been doing after work, is graphic design. So I had, um, oh my, oh, what kind of a, just had an accident and fell down some stairs? A permanent fall down the stairs? Or just oops, ow, bruises? Um, yeah, okay, that was distracting. That could change a lot of things. So, if you were planning on writing a story for Space Cowboys and you had not yet, you now have until February 1st because there's going to be 2 volumes. Um, Dawn, that would be a convenient crate of knives, yes. uh, so Space Cowboys being out of the way, because I sat down and I pounded out 3,500 words to finish that. Um, I'm trying to remember. Like a week before that, I had sat down at the Blanket Fort and pounded out 2,000 words to finish up my Twisted Trope story for Jim's anthology. Um, no, it's okay, Kermit. That was perfectly okay, and I was kind of dancing around the reaction to it. I mean, I don't usually talk about politics, but global current events is of interest to all of us here, and I'm not even going to pretend to not be interested in that one. um, so now I'm curious, but I'm not going to go look it up until after I'm done talking, unless somebody posts something in the chat. Anyhow, um, there's the next anthology story uh is going to be for one of the Space Marines, I think. And I have to write a story for the PTSD anthology, which is my own, so I have a lot of leeway there. Currently, I plan to publish the PTSD anthology in February, but it might get pushed out to March because Space Cowboys will be published February 24th, and I don't want them to be too close. So yes, we're talking about history. Anti history? Prehistory. Oh, well, that's much less too bad. Oh well. So sad. um yeah, the other thing I did with the PTSD anthology, speaking of accidents and tyrannical governments and all that, was I expanded the brief for it a little bit because um, based on a conversation that I was part of where we were talking about a spouse dealing with PTSD due to having grown up in a highly restrictive regime, and that bleeding through, even though the spouse and the spouses, now I'm trying to sanitize this so that I don't unintentionally out someone, but given that they now live in the United States of America and one of them did not grow up under that regime, their relationship has problems because of the spousal PTSD that bubbles up every so often. Um, it would be nice, and I am going to be making steps in that direction. We have a North Texas Troublemakers domain, and I am about to move my um, website to a different host, and I'm looking at paying a little bit extra for a web host that would allow me to have multiple domains. Currently, I have a single hosting domain, and I would like to be able to have a portfolio domain for the art. Um, Sanderly Studios, where it would give my publishing schedules, and I can send people to find anthologies, open calls, my current bibliography. But we do own a North Texas Troublemakers domain, um, and I could indeed embed a Google Calendar, Farm Girl. So that's definitely a possibility. Right, because we have what Jim's doing and what Ian is doing with Raconteur Press, which is Ian and Courtney working together, and what I'm doing with Sanderly Studios. And we don't want North Texas Troublemakers to actually turn into an umbrella company. Um, but we're collaborating on a lot of things, so I think that having one place to put this would be a really good idea. And it's probably worth a little bit extra of my money to put into having the hosting in place to enable this to be a thing. Uh, I have the North Texas Troublemakers page on my website right now, which we had done so that we could have one landing page when we did the swag bags for FinCon, and which I have no idea how effective that was. But it was worth a couple of hours of my effort to create a splash page to quickly send people to, in lieu of having a website for North Texas Troublemakers. Johan has servers, and he had actually launched and was running the North Texas Troublemakers website, which is why we have a domain. But he doesn't have time right now to have his servers up and running. Um, and and I don't want once he because okay, so going back to I was talking about Johan a little bit ago. He's doing really well. He signed up for 15 credit hours for this next semester. Most of it is hands-on welding, so I am actually less worried about the burden of 15 credit hours than I would be if it was like lots of writing, which he doesn't do well with. But the hands-on stuff he does really well with, so I'm thinking that he'll be okay with this. But he's also going to be working a part-time job. He got a job for Sutherland's, which is a local lumber yard, and which is a great job for him right now. So he is going to be 4 days a week, spending 8 hours a day at the college, which will then leave him Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for his job. And he told me this morning, we sat down, we were talking, and he wants to start making sure that he's taking on all his bills. So he's starting to become much more independent. He's already paying for his car insurance. For that was his thing. Was once he got his driver's license, he had to have a job and pay for his insurance. He did get one. It it got complicated there for a while, but he did get a job. Um, oh, Ben, thank you. I really hope that the recipients of that enjoy it. Um, so yeah, Johan's not going to be home in the evening because his class schedule is all in the evenings, and he has told Sutherland's that he would prefer evenings so that he can kind of have a sleep schedule in place. And today, this morning, after I was done with work, he dragged me out to sign a parental waiver so he could join a gym. So he has plans of going to classes, stopping at the gym on the way home, doing his workout, coming home when he does, and doing the same thing for work, stopping on the way home from work, doing his workout, come home, crash, sleep, and we will not be seeing a whole lot of each other. So that is going to alter Sanford and I's evenings. I mean, we won't have dinner together as a family. We don't do a lot of like sit down at the table, do dinners together, but we do try to do that a couple of times a week right now, in addition to Saturday dinners. So once once the new schedule sets in, that may change things again, but it's still Friday nights will probably not be a good one for me. But Monday nights probably will work just fine. So we'll see. Life is, I mean, as long as we have the kid at home, there's going to be changes and unexpecteds, and even once we're empty nesters, it's going to be changes and unexpecteds, and I can't predict life that far in advance. But um yeah, it's sorry guys. Um my so I signed the waiver for Johan, and then he's like, "Okay, you can leave now. I'm going to go work out." Okay. Doesn't want mom hanging around. Um paint lid with rubber gasket for a 5 gallon bucket equal food quality bucket for dry food storage. Um, are you putting the food directly in the bucket, touching the bucket? I'm gonna hope the answer is no, because there is food grade buckets, and if you're gonna have something touching the bucket, you want food grade bucket. Um, my suggestion would be that whatever you put in the bucket to have inside another container, and preferably vacuum sealed if you're talking about really long term storage. I don't know what you're storing. So um, I don't do that level of prepping, which, as I said before, the last time this came to the top of my mind, that's a whole other blog post of why I don't do this kind of prepping. Um, but if I were, it would be, yeah, at the bare minimum, Ziploc bags, Mylar vacuum seal bags if you can do it, and have the wherewithal to do that kind of thing. Um, the other thing that I will point out, and this is because I've had issues with it, is to consider the fact that um, rodents can and will chew through plastic very quickly, very quickly. If I were going to be storing grain long term, I would be putting them in metal. Um, and yeah, that's a good point too, Mom. Especially if you're not going to vacuum seal it, freezing it is kind of a thing that you want to do. Um, but yeah, food grade 5 gallon buckets are available. They're not terribly expensive versus just regular buckets, I think, depending on what way you go to get them. Hmm. Yeah, if I were going to be doing major preps, I would probably get a hold of some 55-gallon food grade metal drums and then pack stuff inside that in bags, of course, um, rather than risking having mice or rats chew through buckets. Uh, right. Old broken chest freezer is a great idea. That has the gasket too. And the other thing you can get are desiccant packs, silica gel. I just bought some for Johann to use with his welding sticks because they evidently will draw moisture. So he's going to be keeping his welding sticks in a Ziploc with desiccant bags. So, and they're not that expensive on Amazon. The silica gel desiccant bags are. We used to get those. Those were what we used in pharmaceutical desiccant bags to ship with loose pharmaceutical tablets or gel caps or whatever, especially gel caps. They're so hygroscopic that they'll just draw in moisture from anything. So, so yeah, there's probably a bunch of different ways to do it. I would say that 5 gallon buckets inside an old chest freezer would probably work just fine. But I have dealt with way too many rodents and damaging feed, seeds, whatever they could get their little claws into. I've dealt with that way too many times in my life to trust 5 gallon buckets for any length of time to store anything in that even things that rodents wouldn't want. If they think they want them, they will chew into it. Little monsters. I kind of feel about those the way Ian feels about monkeys. Probably for similar reasons. I've not gotten the experience with monkeys. So, but yeah, I mean, my preps mostly involve the freezers being nice and full. Ooh, I got brisket today. I got a 12.5 pound brisket for $1.69 a pound. And that's in the freezer. But yep, mason jars and vacuum seal those is good. Doesn't work for large bulks, but um, for some things, right? And that's the thing, is not for real bulk. I mean, I would love to have a root cellar full of canned goods, but I don't have the space or the wherewithal anymore because I don't have that big of a garden and can't have that big of a garden. I just don't have room. Um, no rubber squeaky mice. Oh, I get told in no uncertain terms that I will now be on camera for the Thursday blanket fort things because normally I go in and I sit off to one side, um, and 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 just kibitz at Jim and Ian while they're on camera. So I walk in and Jim tells me there's a seat in the middle. You're sitting there today. I'm like, okay. And then at the end of the live stream, he's like, um, something to the effect of, you're going to be on camera every week now. And I'm like, okay. I need to fidget. I usually draw. That's my fidget. I carry a pocket knife, Kermit, yes. Yeah, metal trash cans are great for storing feed. That's what we always store the feed in. In fact, we have the dog food in a metal trash can. Well, it's an ash can. It's a little one. Um, and so um, metal trash cans are great. They're a little on the expensive side, but I suppose if you are going to invest, that's not too awful bad. If you find an old non-working fridge or freezer, though, that might be the way to go um, for long-term storage that's more or less rodent-proof. Um, yeah, yeah, I probably will wind up drawing. I didn't this Thursday because I wasn't really expecting it. I had my drawing stuff with me. In fact, it was on the table in front of me. But I need to figure out if I've got the elbow space to draw. Yes, I was holding a fox during the whole thing and trying to resist the urge, not entirely successfully, to use it as a puppet and make it do things during. I have puppetry skills. What can I say? It's been an odd life. So, um, um, Yeah, actually, that might be a thing. Is just play with the stuffed animals because there are quite a few of them at the blanket fort. So, ooh, old metal lard cans would be lovely. Hmm, it's a pity that doesn't come in that anymore. Uh, oh, well, so the funny thing is that um, Ian uses the fox avatars. That's his image. I used to use foxes as the avatars because, well, I mean, the red hair is a thing, and I have the long fox brush. Um, so I had to stop using foxes because every time I posted a fox, people were like, "Oh, it's La Dog," and no, it's my fox. But so what I've decided is bowing to the inevitable. Um, is that instead of posting foxes for myself, I am now going to start posting red fox squirrels as my avatar because because I'm easily distractible. Ooh, shiny live chat. That is actually one of the nice things about being told that I have to sit on the and be able to see the screen as I get to see the live chat on Thursdays now. Yeah, you don't want to use buckets that have already been um, used. You could probably get away without doing a food grade bucket if it hasn't been previously used. A clean, fresh bucket is ideal for food storage. How's that? Yes, yes, definitely squirrel. Um, and also shiny because dangle. This was the hair stick I grabbed. My son was champing at the bit this morning. Ah, which, speaking of squirrels, they told you about the whole gym thing. I leave him at the gym and I go over to the liquor store because I had been talking to somebody, I don't remember who now, about Texas bourbon, and I wanted to pick up a Texas bourbon. Um, so I go to the liquor store with the idea of finding a Texas bourbon and something fun to drink. So I wound up finding a bourbon called Bonfire, and no idea. That's the problem with this is complete blank. I have no idea. Um, so we'll see on that. In fact, after the live stream, I will probably pour a little in a glass and taste it. Um, but and I also bought a pecan liqueur, which I'm looking forward to trying because I can imagine that that'll go nicely in coffee. Um, and I picked up a black cherry hard cider because I saw it and went, "Ooh, yummy!" So that'll keep us in drinking stuff for a long time. But and then I went and picked up the brisket. So I'm like, bourbon and brisket. I feel so Texan today.
I want to make sure everybody understands something. Despite the appearance of the blue monkey earlier tonight, I have promised myself I will not inflict that on Ian again.
There's
Uh,
so far you can take a prank, and then after that, it just gets annoying.
however, there are $1.98 at Walmart in the dog toy section. If anybody's planning on going to the live stream in the near future, other than me, just a thought.
Oh, yes. Oh gosh. I mean, I did one guest appearance on the live stream before it was the blanket fort when it was still over at Jim's place, and and they had uh, and they had invited me on, and I managed to be there. I don't remember how now because my work schedule would have prevented it, and most probably while I was still with Mary Kay, managed to get up there and do that. And but then my work schedule until I lived up here just was not conducive to doing it. But once we got settled in up here, I got in the habit of going over on Thursdays to be peanut gallery. So yes, Jim knows what he's getting into. There's days I'm very quiet on the live stream, especially if the two of them are in fine voice and rant as they usually are. I am less ranty. That way I can lean back and you aren't cutting me, having me cut off at the chin. Um, so yeah, we'll try Monday, December 5th in the evening, see how that works. And um yes, glow sticks. Glow sticks would have to be a thing at some point. Evening live streams work better for glow sticks. As you can probably see, it's dark outside. Um which is better, I think, than earlier in the year when it was super bright and I was having trouble with the camera being overloaded by being too bright. Um,
We'll get a blackout curtain.
Raccoons can open what? I'm curious now what the raccoons can open. I had a blackout curtain, but I can't have a blackout curtain there all the time because the orchids need light. I have orchid babies in the window.
If they die, they die.
No, my orchid babies. I'm actually kind of proud of myself. I bought myself maidenhair ferns because I adore maidenhair ferns. And I have managed to not only keep them alive, but they had little itty bitty little fiddleheads, just little threads that have opened up into new fronds, and I'm so happy. Maidenhairs are difficult because they need high humidity. Raccoons can indeed open everything. 5-gallon buckets. I did not know that. That is good to know. Um, yeah, no, maidenhair ferns take me back to childhood roaming around the Pacific rainforests and the hillsides behind my grandmother's house with the maidenhairs growing out through trickles of crystal clear water running down and into the mosses. It's a pity the Pacific Northwest is enemy territory and I can never live there because there are times that I really, really miss it. Um, but yeah, just I'm a Texan now. Bullets and brisket and bourbon. Oh my! and as I pointed out, we live 90 minutes away from the nearest Buc-ee's. There are not that many Buc-ee's in Texas, but there is definitely all of the other things. Farm girl growing up on a farm, I don't trust any building to be rodent proof either. Um, Even this house is probably not rodent proof, and that is with a dog and a cat living in the house. Although the dog started to slow down a lot in her old age. Um, she didn't sneeze on Jim when he came over the other day. She usually sneezes on him for some reason. Right? I'm not sure you want to put rodent poison in with the food. Hmm. Yeah. Um, so there will be a collection of my fantasy stories out before Christmas. At this point, I am not sure whether or not I will manage to get the next collaboration between Law Dog and I out in time for Christmas. I had intended to spend November illustrating the Squeaks saga, but I was waiting on Ian to send me a piece that he's writing so that we would have something fresh and original and for a Law Dog story in this particular illustrated volume. And with everything that's been going on in his life, it's not happening quickly, and that's fine. I am not pushing him. I have nagged and nudged gently, but he'll get it to me when he gets it to me, and at that point I'll do the illustrations for it, and it'll come out when it's time. I'm not rushing that one. I can get the collection out for Christmas, so there will be a new book that can be gifted. Um, yeah, no, Mom, you're not gonna have problems with raccoons. Um, so, and we'll see. I mean, I haven't picked a title for the fantasy collection yet. I need to do that. I'm not quite sure how to do that. I ran some ideas for covers past social media in the last week or two. And they're covers that are pulled from the Sword and Sorcery story that previously appeared in an anthology and will be republished with some rewriting because I pulled a bunch of it out to make it fit what the anthology wanted. And so I'm going to put stuff back into it because I went full Gyrel of Joyery, Lee Brackett's Purple Prose Sword and Sorcery when I first wrote it. That was what I would have wanted to evoke, was Gyrel of Joyery. And the anthology wanted it to have a little bit tighter, more modern language. So some of what I had originally written went away. But that story, I had this powerful mental image in one scene in that story that made me at the time really determined. It was one of the several mental pictures that I have that's just so bright and so vivid and so detailed, and I wanted to be able to paint it. Well, even digital painting is a whole nother skill set that I don't have right now. And I've been trying to work on it, but it requires a lot more time than what I do usually as art. And I haven't had that time. And then Midjourney came along. So the other mental image, Midjourney throws up its little hands and runs away screaming. Um, I am eventually going to learn how to paint so that I can paint Lady Longhorn. Because Lady Longhorn, I've sketched it, and it is a lady in a beautiful blue riding habit, side saddle on a longhorn steer, with her rifle propped on her knee, and the two of them are standing in the middle of a meadow full of bluebonnets with low mountains in the background. And I have this mental image, and I if I can ever get it on canvas, I really want to, um, because I can draw it, but it's not quite right. But the other mental image, which was of Sola from the story that I'll be putting in this collection, which I may be changing the title of. The title in the anthology was Goddess's Tears, um, and but I had this mental image of her standing in this inky pool of water with this snake wrapped around her, and she's naked. But the snake is huge and it's wrapped around her in such a way that it covers her. So you can't, there's nothing untoward with the mental image that I'm not going to be doing the full on naked lady nudes. Um, Although I think in art there's a place for that too. And crouched on the edge of this pool that she's standing in is this huge black panther. So I was trying to get Midjourney to render a version of that, and that's probably what I'm going to use for the um, cover for the fantasy collection. I'm a little concerned that after Zombie Maggots, which did not do well because it came across as horror, I don't want to make the cover of the fantasy anthology too dark. So I don't know. I'm still kind of like, I don't know. I really like the the images that I've managed to get, and not and the so Sola's tale is dark and it's sword and sorcery, um, and it doesn't really have a happy ending. It has a satisfying ending, at least I think so. But some of the other stuff in there is going to be very sweet and light, like the honeymooners. Um, so I don't know. These are the things that make writers wish that they didn't have to publish their own damn stuff. Oh, so I have to pick an image, do the title. Um, I am, though, as far as cover design goes, Midjourney has led me to level up. I mean, I have been able to do some awesome stuff. I am so sneaking excited about the fact that I get to do the covers for Dave Freer's Dragons. Um, the Skein of Dragons is currently, because I just found out from him that there will be a third book eventually, which I'm so excited about. I'm seriously, I had to restrain myself from doing fangirl squeeze at Dave because I knew it would just scare the poor man. But what I wanted to do with those covers, and they're in my art groups, if you haven't seen them, I wanted to give Dave covers that were every bit as good, if not better, than the covers that Baen had given him for those two books, for Dragon's Ring and Dog and Dragon. And I think I succeeded because I had been playing with doing chrome lettering for the Space Cowboys anthology. And pure chrome isn't going to work on that cover because it blends on the background with the art that Ian picked out, which is great art, by the way. And it is Midjourney, and mostly Midjourney generated on all three of those covers, but some of my art as well, because Midjourney doesn't always give me what I want, and sometimes Midjourney gets a little carried away with things like fingers. Um, but so I've been playing with chrome effects. So when I got to Dave's covers, I went out and I hit that, and I went, I wonder if I can do gold, because I want to do gold lettering because that's such a fantasy cover. Yes, Dave is definitely an honorary North Texas troublemaker. We have adopted Dave. I don't think he knows this yet, but we have. Um, um, I wanted to do the gold lettering, almost the embossed raised foil lettering that you would see on the paperbacks from a certain era in fantasy. So 80s, 90s, but I didn't really want to do an 80s, 90s cover. I just wanted that really nice look on that embossed cover look. And I think I got it. I really like how those came out. Um, right, Midjourney really likes fingers. I should write an alien species with all the fingers. By the way, the winged border collie, that was the result of asking Midjourney to render a dragon and a border collie. It gave me a dragon border collie mashup, which is awesome, but not what I wanted. But still awesome, and now I have to write a story for it. That's the fun thing about Midjourney art. So yeah, no, I mean, the cover that I did for Jason Fwesting, which is it is aligned with the rest of that series because this is book 3 that I've done a cover for. And I did a cover for Kelly Grayson that engendered probably the highest compliment I have ever gotten on a book cover because I showed it, I had done the initial renders and then showed it to Kelly at a thing that we were at together in person um, in early October, right around my birthday. So I had showed it to him, and somebody else was at the table and wanted to see. So I swing the iPad around and show the cover, and I can't say because it's vocabulary my sister shouldn't hear, but it was loud, it was from the gut, it was visceral, and it was like the highest compliment. Because he blurted something out and then put both hands over his mouth and said, sorry for the language. And I'm like, no, that was thank you. So yeah, the Some Dude Chronicles is Kelly Grayson's trilogy. The first one of those will be out right around Christmas. I think they're going to be a lot of fun, and they're going to have a lot of heart to them because that's how Kelly writes. If any of you have seen Kelly's stuff from the hunting anthologies, yeah, he's a really good writer. I had read his stories about life as a paramedic. He wrote his collection of his anecdotes and memoirs and it's called En Route, Enroute, En Route. And that is worth picking up. I read it because I grew up with a dad that was a paramedic and EMT, did emergency medicine. And reading Kelly's stuff was like listening to dad tell stories. So, which disconcerted Kelly when I told him that he reminded me of my dad. He's like, I'm like, it's not because you're like my dad. You're not that old. There's not that much age difference between Kelly and I. Um, but his writing voice reminds me of my dad telling stories. So yeah, no, I've been involved in some really exciting projects. I'm actually looking over at the whiteboard where I have my list of graphic design stuff. Um, I mean, it's not all fun and games. I did another cover that I can't show off yet for a friend for a romance novel that he's writing, and that came out really nicely, and he's very, very happy with it. So hopefully he'll have that out soon. And I had a logo design that I delivered, and the client asked me to make a change, which I did, and then radio silence. So I think they didn't like it, and they haven't been able to figure out how to tell me that. And because they're really, really super kind and sweet, I I feel bad, but sometimes I can't. If somebody has a very strong mental image, I can't read their mind. And there's only so far you can go with, especially somebody who's not an artist, trying to describe to you what they want. So, oh my gosh, I am running late. Enjoy the enchiladas, Becky. I'll see you on Monday. Um, it differs if you can figure the recipe out. Yes. I will go take a look at pictures of cookies, and I will see you all Monday evening at 6 p.m., same time. And I'm thinking that my husband has dinner ready for me, so I am going to log off. Have a great weekend, everybody. I will catch you on Monday, and we'll see if that works better for me. Thanks, all. Bye.